Good evening and welcome to the August 12, 2009 Civil Service Commission meeting. While we were having some technical difficulties, we actually had a roll call and we went into closed session. And we need to announce that with a unanimous vote, the public employee appointment was approved by the Civil Service Commission. May we have a roll call again now, just to make sure that we go through it one more time?
Commissioner Devine?
Here.
Coleman?
Here.
Gantis?
Yes.
Manukian?
Here.
Abkarian?
Here. What's next?
Minutes?
What's your pleasure, gentlemen?
Move for approval. Second.
Move in a second. Could we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Devine?
Yes.
Coleman?
Abstain.
Gantis?
Yes.
Manukian?
Abstain.
Abkarian?
Here.
Oral communications?
There are none. I would like to go ahead at this point and move. Go ahead, Mr. Manukian.
Chairman Abkarian, it would be my pleasure and honor to nominate.
Hold on. We need to move that up first. We would like to move reorganization of the commission from number 6 to number 4. Is there any objection to that?
No objection.
Mr. Manukian?
Okay. Yeah.
We got
As
to
I
go
was
with the
saying,
chairman
you would
first.
rudely interrupted me.
I'm
it would
sorry.
be my honor, and put your hands down, to nominate Commissioner Roy Coleman.
Second.
For the chairman?
Yes.
Second.
Mr. Coleman is nominated, and there's a second. Is there any other nominations? Okay, can we have a roll call? Oh, I'm sorry. I think there was a motion, actually. Well, was it a nomination? Is that a motion?
Yes, it is.
Is there a second on that motion?
Yes, there is.
Okay, could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Devine?
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman?
Humbly, yes. Humbly.
Commissioner Gantis?
Yes.
Manukian?
Yes.
Abkarian?
Yes. Vice Chairman, do we have a nomination for the Vice Chairman? Mr. Coleman.
I take great pleasure in nominating Sam Manukian as vice chair.
Second.
Second, is there any other nominations? Could we have a motion? Is that a motion, Mr.?
That's a motion.
Second?
Second.
Second on the motion. Could we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Devine?
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman?
Yes.
Gantis?
Yes.
Manukian?
Yes. Thank you.
Abkarian?
Yes. Congratulations. Coleman, Manukian. What I would like to do is, just because I've overstayed my welcome, is we're going to just do a quick switch in here and have Mr. Coleman take over from this point forward.
I also wanted to thank our Chairman Abkarian for having done a phenomenal job for the
Over and
past.
above the Call of Duty. He's got more than
Absolutely.
one.
Thank you.
Thank you. It came as quite a surprise to me, considering I've been gone for about 8 or 9 months. But I am in good health, and I plan on sticking around for another couple of years.
Now you have to.
Now I have to.
At least the rest of this year.
That's right. Okay, so where are we?
Recruitment and
Number 4.
examination.
Number 4?
Recruitment examination
and-
status report.
There we go.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this is our regular recruitment and examination status report. As you can see, there's a moderate level of recruitment activity, primarily as a result of the hiring freeze that is currently in effect, and most of the recruitments currently taking place have to do with recruitments in Water and Power and in the Community Development Department. Staff is here to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions?
Any questions? I hear no questions. Next item.
Eligible list established.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, the item before you contains the eligible list established since our last meeting. We have established 6 lists, and as you can see, there are 2 columns. One column indicates the total number of applications received, the other the number of candidates who ultimately were ranked and placed on a list. Once again, staff is here to answer any questions you may have. Again, as you can see, several of these recruitments and the list established are in the Water and Power Department.
Any questions? All right. No questions. Next item.
Chair Coleman, I believe we skipped oral communications.
No, we didn't.
No, we did not.
We did not? Okay. class specification for approval, ambulance operator and emergency medical technician coordinator.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, there are two class specifications attached for your approval, both of which are for the newly established Basic Life Support BLS program. The Emergency Medical Coordinator position is a management position, while the ambulance operator is an hourly classification. Upon your approval, we anticipate conducting open recruitment processes for both of these positions. Chief Scoggins and Battalion Chief Godfrey are here from the Fire Department, as is Ms. Hunanian, who worked on these specifications, and they can answer any questions you may have.
All right, I just have a basic, very, very basic question regarding the ambulance operator, Chief Scoggins. Once again, nice to see you.
Good to see you also.
Right under definitions where it says, under general supervision, this temporary unclassified part-time position provides basic medical care and transport of the ill and the injured as an emergency medical technician 1. How many operators do we have currently in the fire department?
We don't have this position currently in the fire
So
department.
this is brand new.
This is brand new.
And without at all, I certainly don't want to offend you, but why do you think the fire, since it's a new position, I don't understand why it's a temporary, part-time, unclassified position.
These two positions are a part of our budget reduction strategy.
Okay.
And basically what we're going to be doing with this program is Harold Scoggins, Fire Chief, we're going to be pulling out one of our frontline rescue ambulances. We have 5 right now. We'll be moving to 4. And we'll be entering into the EMS system 1 BLS unit, which is basic life support, with 2 EMTs. The reason why we're asking for those positions to be approved as hourly positions is we're going to use it as a form of recruitment for the department. Similar to our cadet program, an individual will be able to stay in the program for up to 3 years, and in that time period, we would hope that they would be hired here in the organization or learned enough about the fire department to be successful somewhere else, but it will give us a fresh look at what's out there and who's taking the tests, and hopefully we can recruit local individuals to this program.
Good enough for me. Any other questions?
Mr. Coleman?
Chairman Commissioner
Two
Gann.
things. First of all, while we had these technical difficulties, Chief Scoggins, we were talking about the 2 firemen that were injured, and I definitely want to get back to that because we had to get back onto this. But let's staying with this. So we're removing 1 ambulance, basically. Is that,
Yes.
Okay, and
1
that
rescue
is
ambulance.
staffed currently with.
2 firefighter paramedics.
These are public safety officers, correct?
Those are firefighters, yes.
And we will replace that with this basic life support system.
Non-sworn emergency medical technicians. And basically,
That'll have 1 technician on there?
they're going to have 2. We're basically reducing our staffing per day in the fire department by 2 positions. We will be going from 59 to 57 as a part of our budget reduction strategy. But to offset this loss of transport, we're going to put on the street a BLS ambulance to offset these calls. The way we're going to tie this up is with our dispatching through Verdugo Dispatch. We're going to move to what's called a tiered dispatching system, and it's basically dispatching the right resource to the call. So if someone calls basically and said, I have a sprain, a strain, or I've fallen down, or things that are classified as basic life support injuries, we will now dispatch a fire engine and EMT, a BLS call. If someone calls and says, I'm having a heart attack, chest pains, a stroke, we'll dispatch a fire engine with a paramedic rescue ambulance. So that's going to be the system that we're moving to with this program. The fire engine is the common factor that will continue to go. They go today, they will continue to go. We will redeploy these paramedics to fire engines that do not have paramedics assigned to them currently. So out in the field, our goal is to get at least 1 paramedic on all of our fire engines. It's going to take us a little bit of time to get there. We'll get to 7 or 8 with this change, but we will still have an ALS resource on scene most of the time to give that assessment if the call needs to be upgraded.
Makes a lot of sense.
Saves us money, in other words.
Significant amount of money.
Significant amount of retirement, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Do we need a motion to approve this?
There's a question.
Just asking.
Oh, I have another question, too. I'm sorry.
Certainly.
These are just some basic academic questions, so I get a better understanding of the program. As far as I'm concerned, the bulletin is fine. But who actually makes the decision on whether to send the ALS or the BLS unit?
The dispatch center, through the questions that's asked when they receive the call from the point of contact. And usually we take the information from the caller and we process it. And right now, currently, all of our EMS calls are dispatched as ALS calls. That means you get 2 paramedics at least on every single call.
Okay. And basically, what can the ALS do that the BLS cannot do?
Start IVs, deliver drugs, intubate the patient, deliver controlled shocks to a patient in full arrest, things such as that.
Okay, so the BLS person cannot do the shock treatment then?
They can't do the controlled shocks. I, as an EMT, can deliver the shocks with our automatic external defibrillators, and we all carry those. So if a patient goes into what's called full arrest, a BLS unit would be able to handle that just as the ALS unit. When the ALS unit got on scene, they would start the IVs, intubate the patient, make the contacts with the hospital.
Okay. Under the experience for this position, it says EMT experience is highly desirable, and then down under licensing, you show one of the license requirements is a valid LA County medical technician EMT certificate. Mm-hmm. So, first of all, why isn't the EMT experience required rather than highly desirable? Secondly, if it's highly desirable, why is it required to be a licensed person?
Well, in order to apply for the program, you have to be a licensed EMT. Now, you may have your license. If a student is going to Glendale College and they just graduate from the program, they may pass the state and the national test to get their license, but they may not have landed a job to actually start doing the job. So they may not have the experience, but they will have the license to do the job. And that's okay, too. We would prefer experience, but we'll bring them in and we'll take care of all that internally.
That's all I had on that particular position.
Yes.
Chief Scoggins, why do we have and this is something I've wondered for years, why do we have on a sprain a full fire engine go with the emergency? Why do we do that? It's not like a waste of money and time. I've always wondered that somebody calls for a sprain or some incident and the whole fire department seems to be at the location. Could you explain that to me?
Well, right now, we have one level of response, and that's an ALS response. Even with this new system, you'll get a fire engine and a BLS unit. But many times, it's hard for just 2 individuals on an ambulance to really manage a call like it really needs to be managed. There's a lot of things that go into even managing a sprain, a strain, a break, or different things like that. You'll have 2 to 3 people just tending to the patient, creating the splint, taking the vital signs, and gathering the history from the patient, and managing the family itself. If contacts need to be made with the hospitals or different things like that, that'd be another individual doing that. And then you need an on-scene manager making sure all these things are happening, getting all these loose ends tied up. So on the surface, it may look as simple as a sprain, a strain, a break, or even some minor call in nature. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of things that needs to happen to make sure the patients here have the best level of care possible.
But there are no state requirements that you would actually have a fire engine accompany an ambulance.
No.
It's just a decision that's made by you.
It's a decision that's made by the Glendale Fire Department, but it is a common practice in the fire service.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I forgot something. And I think this is more for Manya than it is for you, Chief Scoggins. In writing up the Emergency Medical Technician Coordinator under Education, in the last sentence it says, completion of a registered nursing program or a paramedic training program.
I'm sorry, where are you?
I'm on the Emergency Medical Technician Coordinator, the mid-management position.
Okay, under
Education/training.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
The last sentence says completion of a registered nursing program or a paramedic training program, period. Is it required? Is it desirable?
It's required, either or. We believe, as we're recruiting for this position, and there's some other programs out there in cities such as Downey, Compton, Long Beach, or Huntington Beach, and this is how we drafted our requirements. But an RN, usually RNs are really intimate with the workings of the emergency room operations and the fire departments, and we know that the paramedics, a tenured paramedic with a lot of experience, can manage a program such as this. But we didn't want to exclude a seasoned paramedic that may be out there, that may not have a job for some reason or another, from managing a program like this. They understand the EMS delivery system, and that's why it's either or. It's a higher level of care than the EMT we're hiring, but an RN with some ER experience, such as our Judy Grimaldi, who is, she works with our paramedic program right now. She's an RN, but she manages our paramedics. So we believe either or will be successful in managing this program.
But they're required. Because that
Either
language,
or. Either or.
But that's not what it's in here. I mean, if we could put the word "is required," either it says "or."
Yeah, you can either be a registered RN or a paramedic, certified paramedic.
And this emergency medical technician coordinator is the supervisor of the ambulance operators.
Yes.
So we're actually creating another position, non-sworn, but this is a full-time position,
Right.
to make sure we have the BLS instead of the ALS.
Yes, to
And
make
even
sure
with-
we have it covered.
And even with that, we're still having a significant savings in money.
Yes, approximately $800,000.
Wow. A lot of money.
Chair, I do have one more question on the coordinator position, and kind of follow up on Commissioner Gantis's question. Is there a ALS coordinator?
That's Judy.
We have Judy Grimaldi, who's our nurse educator for our paramedic program, but we have a fire captain who is a paramedic as our 40-hour, which is our day shift paramedic coordinator. So we do have an internal paramedic coordinator, and that's a sworn position, a fire captain's position, and that's important to have a fire captain in that position because the majority of our paramedics are sworn firefighters. So you need that rank structure, and you need someone with the experience to supervise our paramedics.
Okay, but looking at the organization chart, I don't know if you have a copy of it there.
I do not have one in front of me. Oh, now I do.
That's what this is. Not this one. It's this one.
You have the org chart there? Okay.
Yes.
I was confused because under EMS you have on the left side the paramedic coordinator, and then ALS, and on the right you have a PM shift coordinator, and then this new position, the EMT coordinator. And I wasn't sure how all those got coordinated together and what the difference was between the various coordinators.
Well, I believe that the person who made this chart was just trying to make everything fit on the page. Everything under the paramedic program, the paramedic shift coordinator should be in alignment with the paramedic coordinators on that left side there. That's how it should read. That person should not be above the BLS coordinator. And all of these individuals in these top blocks will report to the EMS coordinator, which is Battalion Chief Godfrey.
I see.
Okay, but again, where you show PM coordinator
Right.
and EMT coordinator, are those parallel positions, one for the ALS and one for the BLS? Or do they report to each other?
They do not report to each other. They will report to Chief Godfrey. The BLS is identifying the BLS program. They're not parallel positions. If you're speaking of pay and different things like that, they're
I'm
not
talking
equal.
about responsibilities and duties. So a layperson, it looked like there's a duplication of coordinators here, and I was just trying to figure that out.
Well, one is supervising our ALS, and one is for our BLS, and that's why those two charts should actually be separated. And that paramedic shift coordinator should be on the other side with all of the paramedic.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
Sorry for the grilling.
No.
Just one before we move in. I think, Mr. Chair, is that okay?
Yeah.
Just one thing, just follow up with Mr. Gantis. I don't think we addressed that issue. I just want to make sure that what were you going to amend this?
You're correct. I would add that after completion of under education training,
You want to say completion of either registered nursing program or a paramedic training program is required?
Yes.
Manya, did you get that?
Does that work, Manya, is that just a mistake you made? Is that it? Joke, ladies and gentlemen.
Is
She
there a
does
motion with that
wonderful
change?
work.
I move with
Wonderful work.
Does that work for you, Chief?
That works for me.
Okay.
Chief, wait, after this vote, maybe you can give us the update.
Yeah, I was just going to ask for it after the vote.
Yeah, I think we're ready for a roll call, sir.
Roll call?
Commissioner Devine?
Yes.
Abkarian?
Yes.
Antis?
Yes.
Manukian?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, could we ask the chief now to take into staff comments?
Absolutely.
Chief, could you were telling us off could we complete it? I know we had these fires and we had one fireman that was in surgery. Could you update us and the public on that, please?
Sure. Last Monday evening, which was August 3rd, about 10:12 in the evening, we received a call, and I think the address is 2058 Chilton, which crosses Alameda to the west and Elm to the east. And the call was a structure fire in a single-family dwelling. Our units arrived on scene along with Burbank under our unified response agreements in a rapid manner on scene and got ready to start attacking the fire. When they arrived on scene, they did see smoke coming from the second floor and a low glow, orange glow inside the second floor windows there. As units arrived, we gave assignments to the incoming units, and 2 firefighters entered the structure and moved up to the second floor of the structure. Not very hot at that point in time. They had all of their gear on. They're searching for the fire. One firefighter sees a glow inside of a bathroom door. So there's a wall in between it. Around the corner, you see a glow. Making a lot of corners with the hose in a tight, with the fire hose in a tight place is pretty challenging. So they're pulling and pulling. One firefighter goes down the stairs to pull more hose up to try to make the corner to get around the corner. At a point in time in there, approximately between 22:24 and 22:26, which is 10:24 and 10:26, we started receiving emergency trigger calls from the fire companies inside. We had 2 firefighters down inside the structure, and they were burned. What occurred was a flashover on that second floor.
What's a flashover?
A flashover is basically if a fire has been burning for a while and it's in the smoldering state. When oxygen is now introduced into that room, because it's been smoldering, the room has been pretty much getting superheated at that time, and when it gets enough oxygen into the room, the entire room could flash over on you. So we're not 100% sure if the entire room flashed or if it flashed and rolled over. When this was occurring, there was another fire company coming up the stairs at the bottom, and they actually witnessed the entire second floor on fire. During this period of time, we had 2 firefighters on that second floor searching for that smoldering fire that they saw in the corner of the structure. One firefighter was immediately pulled out by Burbank's Engine 11. They were the second engine company on scene, but the first firefighter was not pulled out at that time, and they immediately went back up, start knocking down the fire and calling out his name. And once he came into sight between the smoke and the fire, they reached in and pulled him out and got him outside of that structure. What that resulted in was 2 of our firefighters last Monday evening being transported to Glendale Adventist. The first firefighter had smoke inhalation from what he took in inside that fire. His facepiece probably got knocked off during the commotion because his SCBA, self-contained breathing apparatus, was in good working order. The second firefighter, who was deeper in the room when the room flashed over, he received 2nd and 3rd degree burns. He was admitted the next day into Grossman Burn Center, which was last Tuesday. And since then, he's had 2 surgeries at this point, and he's had a surgery last Thursday, and he had a second surgery yesterday. Received significant burns, 2nd and 3rd degree, over 20% of his body. And he's got a challenging road ahead of him, but we do expect a full recovery. We're lucky to have a burn center such as Grossman Burn Center here in the Southern California region. And if you may remember, This was the same hospital that took care of Bill Jensen in 1996 when he received life-threatening burns to 80 to 90% of his body, and he still goes through issues today. But our firefighter, this time, the burns aren't as they were back then, so we do expect a full recovery.
You know, just a quick comment for all the people that sometimes get up on that podium and make remarks that are so out of line. They should, I hope they're listening, because what you guys get exposed to and what you have to go through, unfortunately, I mean, it's just mind-boggling. Then we have people get up here and start making accusations of just crazy. Well, we wish them the best, and you guys hang in there.
And I'll throw this out, and I quite frankly don't care who I upset. I don't think the fire department should have been exposed to a decrease in their overall revenue, financial revenue. You and your team have always done a marvelous job, and to take a $800,000 cut is, in my opinion, gut-wrenching. And there should have been a better way, and I'm sorry that it happened. I personally am sorry that it happened, Chief, and that you had to do that reorganization.
Appreciate your support. I would like to make a comment, but I think our attorney's telling us to.
Sure,
We should move
quick
on.
question. I remember you mentioned something about this could have all been avoided because it looks like this was an illegal addition that caused all of it.
Wait a minute.
Sam, we can't get.
We're not, this item that we're discussing
Okay,
has not been
okay.
agendized, and if we would like to agendize that item, and...
It's not necessary. We can find out.
Yeah,
It's fine.
okay.
If I could take also a couple more minutes of your time to give you a brief on the fire on Tuesday. After all this was going on Monday, many of you may have saw the large column of smoke coming up on Tuesday at the westbound 2 freeway to the northbound 134 freeway. That was a joint fire response we had with the Los Angeles City Fire Department in attacking that what turned out to be a 60-acre brush fire. It started on the freeway side, immediately went up the hill and started backing down into Glen Oaks Canyon. Also, like to let you know, your fire department did an outstanding job in making sure that no structures were damaged or any was burned, and the fire burned as close as 20 feet close to some structures in Glen Oaks Canyon. So I did a little report last night for council on that, but just to let you know, there's been a lot happening last week.
Great job.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you, Chief, and please thank everybody for us also.
Next item, please.
Agenda forecast.
Don't want us to be thanked.
Oh, yeah, I didn't want to speak for you.
Then you shouldn't.
Next item, please.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, the agenda forecast is before you, and it identifies some of the items for our upcoming meetings. At the next meeting on August 26th, we have the report on advertising budget expenditures, as well as the discussion of workforce demographics. The following meeting, on September 9th, we have a report on our hourly employment, and on the 23rd, we have the civil service rule amendment scheduled. And if these are the items that are coming up, if you would like to add anything further, please let me know at this time.
Okay. Any comments? Next item?
Reports and information, past due employee performance evaluations.
Commissioner Devine, would you like to
Okay.
read the no past dues?
Actually, it looks very good. On first notice is we only have the city attorney's office
Notice we had to make sure that got mentioned.
and community development and housing. I notice there's a 2 and a 5 there. I'm
Yeah.
not quite sure what that
does that mean?
means.
That means, there are 2 first notices that were due on June 1st, and 5 which were due on June 16th.
Okay, thank you. So there's a total of 7 in community development and housing. Information services has 1 past due. Parks and recreation has 2 past dues, and that's it. A total of 12, and appears to be improving from last month.
Are you finished?
Yes.
Okay. I just have one comment with regards to the community development and housing. My wife happens to work for that department, and they're undergoing
Changes.
a major change and reconstruction of the entire department. They've also been receiving a lot of grant money under the stimulus package, so they are extremely busy. I called her a couple of weeks ago and just simply to check on her, and I said, how you doing? She goes, you would not believe how busy I am. I said, goodbye, dear. So I'm not real upset over those first late evaluations from that department.
Plus, they lost their director.
That's right. Okay. And a forecast.
Your
Next
wife's
item.
Civil
your
Service
wife's gonna be
Commission.
happy with you tonight.
Civil Service Commissioner staff comments.
I do believe that we took that out of order.
I don't know.
The comments we did.
Not the comments. Not that I recall.
That's what Chief Scoggins was reporting under.
Oh, yes, that
okay.
is correct.
Stand corrected. Next item.
I just have.
You can reopen that if you'd like to.
I would
Let's
like to
reopen it. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to say what a pleasure it is to see you back.
Thank you.
It's been a long time. We weren't sure if you're coming back. We weren't sure how you were going to feel. We had updates. Everyone was asking about you, and we really didn't know where we stand 6 months ago. To see you back, to see you healthy, to see you wanting to still volunteer for the city should tell the city council the type of commissioners and the type of people that actually volunteer in the city and do just an incredible job. And for that, I wanted to first of all thank you and tell you that how happy I am, and I'm sure everyone else is, to see you back in here sitting healthy.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, you told me.
I missed not being here, and I took great pride in not one person, not one mayor, and I was out when the new mayor came on board after John Draymond. Frank Quintero now is mayor, of course. None of the city council members, the city manager, director of personnel, and of course my fellow commissioners, not one person in this city requested my resignation. And that really surprised me because I have been gone a long time. And I just wanted to thank all of those people, including my fellow commissioners, for the confidence that they have in me. And a perfect example of that is coming back after being gone 9 months, and all of a sudden I'm chair again. So
Now you have to stay.
now I have to stay. Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Next item?
Adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Hold on. Mr. Coleman needed to say,
Am I supposed to do something?
please, about your mother.
My mother passed away August 4th.
I didn't know that.
The mayor mentioned it, and the city council meeting last night was in her memory. And I would like this meeting to be in the memory of Dorothy Coleman. She passed away August 4th. We buried her Monday. My family came home yesterday, and I decided to just jump back in the saddle and be here tonight. She was a wonderful woman, miss her greatly.
God bless her.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn in memory of Dorothy Coleman.
Thank you, John.